When you think of the Grand Canyon, what comes to mind? Probably a giant, beautiful hole in the ground, right? But it is so much more than that. It's actually a story that's 2 billion years old, written right there in the stone. And today, we're going to decode that story together. We'll look at its mind-blowing scale and even zoom in on the tiniest fossils hidden in its walls. So let's jump right in. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to try to wrap our heads around just how massive this place is. Then, we'll become time travelers and dive into its 2 billion year history. After that, we'll explore the incredible world of life that actually calls the canyon home, and we'll look for the human stories etched right into the landscape. And to wrap it all up, we'll see exactly how it became the global icon we all know. Okay, let's start with part 1, the scale. And I've got to tell you, pictures just don't do it justice. It's one of those things you have to see to believe. So just how big are we talking here? Let's break it down. Let's start with its length. The Grand Canyon snakes across the landscape for 277 miles. That's 446 kilometers. To give you a sense of that, imagine driving from New York City all the way to the Virginia border. Now, picture that entire distance as a giant canyon carved into the earth. Wild, right? And okay, the length is one thing, but check this out, the width. At its widest, the canyon is a staggering 18 miles. That's 29 kilometers across. You could literally drop the entire island of Manhattan into that gap, and you'd still have room on either side. It's just immense. And then you look down. The depth is just mind-bending. The canyon floor is over a mile deep in some spots. We're talking more than 6,000 feet, or 1,800 meters. Think about this. You could take some of the world's tallest skyscrapers, stack them one on top of the other inside the canyon, and they still wouldn't even peek over the rim. It's that deep. So we've covered the canyon's physical depth, which is incredible. But what about its depth in time? Because those canyon walls, they aren't just rock. They're like the pages of a history book, a timeline of our planet. So let's start reading. Yeah, here's the key thing to get. The Grand Canyon is basically a giant cross-section of Earth's history. For millions and millions of years, the Colorado River has been patiently sawing its way down, layer by layer, exposing this incredible story that goes back, well, an almost unbelievable amount of time. So how long are we talking? Get this, nearly 2 billion years of geological history are exposed here. 2 billion. That is almost half the entire age of planet Earth, laid out for you to see from the top of the rim all the way down to the river. And hidden within all those layers are some incredible treasures. Geologists have found these amazing, rare fossils of ancient sea creatures. Yep, this whole area used to be an ocean, and all sorts of unique mineral formations that tell the story of the crazy pressures and temperatures that formed our world. Okay, so we've talked about ancient rock, but now let's shift gears and talk about life. Because the canyon isn't just a geological wonder. It's a world within itself, a thriving, complex ecosystem that calls this giant chasm home. And that leads to a pretty wild question. Can a canyon be so massive that it actually creates its own weather? It sounds like science fiction, but for the Grand Canyon, the answer is a resounding yes. See, the huge difference in elevation creates these totally separate microclimates. You could be up on the rim where it's cool, maybe even getting some rain or snow, but a mile straight down on the canyon floor, it could be blazing hot with dry desert conditions. It's literally like visiting 2 different worlds on the same day. And all these different climates mean the canyon supports a surprisingly rich ecosystem. I mean, think about it. Over 1,700 different types of plants, more than 500 species of birds, and around 90 species of mammals, all living here. It's a genuine hotspot for biodiversity. All right, now let's zoom in even closer, because the story of the Grand Canyon isn't just about rocks and rivers. It's also about people. Humans have been walking these rims and exploring these depths for thousands of years, and their footprints, their stories, they're just as much a part of this landscape as the stone. For millennia, this was a sacred home, and you can still feel that history when you're there. If you look closely, you'll see evidence of ancient Native American cultures everywhere. I mean, incredible cliff dwellings tucked into impossible-looking rock faces, and these beautiful, intricate petroglyphs, that's rock art, that feel like they're speaking to you across the centuries, telling you stories about their lives, their beliefs, their world. And you know what? That human connection is still going strong today. Millions of people come from all over the world every year. Many of them hike down historic paths like the famous Bright Angel Trail just to get a real feel for the canyon's heart. And for the real hardcore adventurers, there's the ultimate challenge, the rim-to-rim hike. That's a serious test of endurance, a kind of modern-day pilgrimage that connects you to this place in a way you'll never forget. And that brings us to our final section. Let's pull the camera back a bit and look at what the Grand Canyon means to us culturally. Because it's not just a national park, it's become a true landmark of the human imagination. A really pivotal moment in its story came back in 1919. That's when the Grand Canyon was officially designated a U.S. national park. And that single act was so important, it guaranteed that this incredible, one-of-a-kind landscape would be protected for all of us and for every generation to come. And if you've ever been lucky enough to see a sunrise or sunset there, you know exactly what this is about. The light, it's just pure magic. The way it plays across the canyon walls, as the sun moves, the colors just transform, shifting from these soft pinks and purples to these fiery reds and oranges. It's a sight that honestly stays with you for the rest of your life. So it's really no surprise that the Grand Canyon has become this global muse, right? It's inspired painters and writers for generations. It's the subject of some of the most iconic photographs ever taken. And of course, it's been the epic backdrop in so many famous films. It's just one of the most recognizable and beloved landscapes on the entire planet. So what's the big takeaway here? The Grand Canyon isn't just a static landmark, a dot on a map. It's a living, breathing story that's still being written. Right now, as we speak, the Colorado River is still doing its thing, carving ever deeper into the earth. And that just leaves you wondering with this amazing, provocative thought. As the river keeps carving, what new mysteries, what new chapters of our planet's story is the canyon going to reveal next?